Okay, we're going to talk about a topic that you might consider, it sounds like it's advanced math or calculus, like, woohoo, this is getting into the heavy-duty math, functions. It's on page 20 and 21 of page 1128, and it really isn't that hard. In fact, you're going to find solving it is pretty simple. It's just that the terminology we use and the way they explain it makes it sound confusing, make it sound like it's something totally new. But don't let that fool you, okay? The actual work you're going to do is pretty easy. Now, even though it looks like you only have 3 problems on page 21, you actually have 12 problems that you're doing, because each of those 3 you're going to plug in 4 different numbers. Let me explain to you what we mean. You are used to seeing maybe an equation that says y equals 5x squared minus 11x plus 3. They say solve for y if x equals 2, let's say. So you'd say, okay, let me just plug in 2 for x, solve it, and then I'll know what y is. All right? That's exactly what we're doing, except that instead of the letter y, they're using f of x. What that means is that the answer depends on the value that you plug in for x. It is a function of the value of x. But then, because we're using this symbol, mathematicians can do a little trick. It saves them some effort. Instead of saying solve for y if x equals something, they can just say find f of 2. What this means is take this equation, the f of x equation, find the answer when you take the number 2 and plug it in place of x. So it's like we're saying 5, then we have this template. 11. All right, so every place we had an x, I just left an open parentheses. So we're going to take the number 2 and plug it in here and plug it in here. And then you would just solve this. So 2 squared is 4, 5 times 4 is 20, 11 times 2 is 22, add 3. So 20 minus 22 would be negative 2, negative 2 plus 3 would be 1. So we could say that this whole answer, f of 2, equals 1. All right, now watch. What if I plugged in negative 6? All right, so these change. Notice the rest of the equation is like a template that stays the same. All we're doing is instead of 2, now we're plugging in negative 6 in place of x. Okay? And now negative 6 squared is positive 36, so we're going to have 5 times 36, minus 11 times 6, which is negative 66, but because it's a negative, we can make it plus 66, plus 3, and I'll let you finish that, okay? So if we wanted to actually find that answer, we could solve it out. Then we could plug in a fraction, like 1/2. All I'm doing is replacing the value in the template and plugging in whatever goes in the parentheses here. Now notice, sometimes students get confused by this. This half over here is not part of the answer, okay? This is just telling us what we're going to plug in for x in the f equation, which is this equation. So all we're solving is this side, all right? So 1/2 squared is 1/4, so we have 5 times 1/4, minus 11 times 1/2, which is 11 over 2, plus 3, and I don't have the energy to solve that right now. So, but that's what you do. You just solve it out. You get one number, okay? And then we could also plug in negative 2. Negative 2. So we'll erase our template, plug in negative 2, and then negative 2 squared is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. But now, negative 2 times 11 is negative 22, but I'm subtracting negative 22, so it becomes plus 22, and then plus 3. Okay? So I just plugged in these four values. I found f of -6, f of 1/2, f of 4, f of -2 using this equation for f. Now if you will look on page 21, at the top of the page they did the same type of thing using a different equation, 7x squared minus x plus 5. But they plugged in these same four numbers. You can plug in anything, okay? They just made up these four numbers. But in your homework now, you'll see they use these same four values, okay? And you're going to try all four of them, one at a time, into the template. And then you just solve the template once you've plugged in x for each of the values in that equation. Does that make sense? Hopefully. It's really not that hard. If you get stuck, if you look at the score key and just kind of see what they're doing, it looks just like the top of page 21. And the equations they gave you aren't really that hard. It's just different. It's a different format, a different way of writing the type of equation, but the math involved, that's pretty simple. That's just Algebra 1, following the order of operations. I don't think you'll have any trouble with that. All right, we're almost done.